Hi everybody, my name's Vitty. Y'all seen this? How about this? Fun fact, that thing actually ate that. Yep, that python swallowed that alligator whole. It's all pretty messed up. Why? Now, that's not natural, or part of the food web, which is a net of what eats what. The issue is that these unnatural animals are destroying the food web. Now, why is this happening? How is it happening? And more importantly, why should we even care? Well, that's why I'm here. Let me first start by telling you why I care. For my entire life, I've loved ecosystems, anything from alpine mountains to arid deserts. And when I first moved to South Florida, I looked around for nearby ecosystems to be in and study, and I found out that I lived right near the Everglades. According to the National Park Service, the Everglades is home to many endangered animal and plant species, and though I loved the idea of being next to this wetland filled with birds and alligators, I soon found out that this place was, and still is, under a huge human threat and needed urgent help. Reasons span from climate change to invasive species and a lack of resources. So let's get back to why a python is eating an alligator, something it doesn't normally eat. What these two animals have in common is that they both live in the Everglades, although one should be here and the other shouldn't. The Everglades is an ecosystem that most of you around these parts in South Florida probably know about. And as it happens, you all in the audience are sitting on swampland. This very school is built upon hundreds of acres of the Everglades. Now, the issue with ruining the Everglades is that it's a very fragile ecosystem built upon a limestone bedrock layer. Why do I mention this limestone layer? Because it's incredibly, and I mean incredibly, fragile. This delicate limestone helps embody the Everglades situation because it's brittle, like an eggshell, and if too much environmental strain is placed on it, it'll break. Considered a Florida wetland, the Everglades houses hundreds of animals and plants seen nowhere else in the world. According to the United States Geological Survey, it consists of about 360 species of birds, 300 species of fish, and 750 species of plants. It's truly beautiful. All these plants and animals are part of the food web. Now, the problem is that most of these plants and animals in the Everglades are in danger of becoming extinct. But when you hear the term extinction, you may think about the dinosaurs. But what's happening in the Everglades is not a natural cause. It's the fault of humans, and only humans. There's been little to no evidence proving that it isn't just humans at fault. Now, you might be wondering, why is it the fault of humans? For one, according to the National Park Service, big industrial businessmen drained the Everglades to settle the land as recently as the 1950s. They came along and noticed that the soil was too wet to build upon, so they changed that by draining the glades. Now let's focus a bit more on how a specific species got here, the Burmese python. According to National Geographic, it all occurred during the height of the exotic pet trade in 1980, when the stock market was high, women's bangs are somehow even higher, but American taste was at an all-time low. This led to the python arriving over here in South Florida. It's formerly native to Southeast Asia, more specifically Burma, now Myanmar, hence the name of the snake. It was inevitable that the owners would be forced to release these species into the wild due to their enormous size, being able to grow as much as 20 feet. For reference, according to the Miami Herald, the largest Burmese python ever caught in the Everglades was 18 feet and 9 inches. Yeah, it's wild, right? Now, this animal tends to eat mice and smaller rodents, but it can swallow animals as large as alligators and even humans. Of course, I'm not going to put a picture of that up there, though. Also, according to CBS, Hurricane Andrew is also partly to blame. Andrew swept through Florida, destroying thousands of homes, even killing people. And although it can't be said how terrible this hurricane was, we're going to focus on how it swept the exotic animal breeding clinics, including a python one. This also released pythons into the wild, only expanding the reign of terror. However, we can't really blame Hurricane Andrew here because if we had just avoided bringing these pythons here, there would really be no issue. Now, these pythons are tearing the food web apart, killing multiple species, even going as far as to still threaten their extinction. Anyways, my point here is that this animal isn't supposed to be here, yet here it is, shredding this ecosystem apart. Now, what's in it for you? Why should y'all go through the effort of actually doing something? Well, the glades do more for us than you'd expect. For example, according to the National Park Service, they act as a sort of 1.5 million square acre sponge, regulating water levels throughout most of Florida. Without this valuable ecosystem, many places that you love would probably flood, places such as Miami and all of the sites there, including Miami Harbor. Could you imagine having to shop along Ball Harbor, navigating flooded streets? Not only that, but it also greatly protects us from hurricanes and tropical storms. This is because it guards our western flank by taking in storm surges and rainstorm coming from the Gulf of Mexico. Now, who here likes to fish? Guess what? The Everglades supports the $1.2 billion fishing industry. Finally, and most notably, it provides about 8 million Floridians with drinking water. Y'all like to drink water too, right? Great. So now you know why it's so important to preserve this stunning land. Now that we all know the importance of protecting the Everglades, here's how you can actually help. Obviously, you aren't going to single-handedly exterminate a species from an enormous ecosystem, and you yourself can't directly remove pythons from the Everglades. They're incredibly dangerous animals and can kill you at will. You have to let professionals, nicknamed gladesmen, to take care of them. There are safe ways to help out, though. For those of you that do fish, there's one invasive fish you can catch there called a snakehead. Like pythons, these are extremely invasive species, murdering native animals, such as the bluegill, as we speak. It gets its name because of how it looks and the ability to gobble up a large prey. Fun fact about those, we're actually so desperate to get rid of them, you're not even allowed to release them back into the water. You have to hold on to them. A second way you can help is by donating to the National Park Service and other foundations working to help the Everglades. Every day, people who work with them are attempting to find how invasive species are deteriorating the flora and fauna of the Everglades. They focus on research and rehabilitation. They're not only conducting tons of scientific studies, but also putting their lives on the line, getting closer to alligators and Burmese pythons than anybody has before. Another thing you can do is raise awareness. It really can help. Spread the word. The Everglades is a crucial ecosystem that, again, regulates water levels, protects us from hurricanes, provides us with drinking water, and is home to many beautiful animal and plant species. Florida's our home, and we have to do our part to protect it for future Floridians. The Everglades is kind of like our environmental test, and if we pass it, we just might be able to save our planet. Thank you.